Go ahead.
No, I would not date a man that makes less than me. I mean, even so, like, part of the reason that I decided to take my career, like, toward cosmetology and hair was knowing that that's something that I, if I want to, can go fall back on. But the plan is honestly to have a family and be able to be at home with the kids and take care of things there. I think, like I said, like, naturally men are the providers, and women are more nurturing. And, I mean, it's just kind of biology when it comes down to it.
I would not date someone who makes less money than me. I really enjoy the drive, and I like to be with someone who has ambition and pushes me to want to work for more. So that's kind of just what I go after, is someone with a hard work ethic. And I know that everyone's saying, like, yeah, some people fail, but it's the part of getting back up and keeping on trying and keeping on going for that goal. That's super attractive to me.
I'm really shocked by everyone's answers. I think I would date a man who makes less than me. I think I'm probably going to have to date a man that makes less than me because I'm going to be making a good amount of money. Yeah.
Well, hold on. Expand on that a little bit. You're gonna be making a lot of money. What do you mean? Doing what? Because right now. As a
pilot.
Oh, as a pilot.
Yeah.
How much do pilots make?
You start off at about $90K, and then in the middle of it, about $250. Towards the end of your career,
Are you talking commercial pilot?
Commercial,
like flying
yeah.
flights and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, if we're talking the big three, which is the only thing I'm gonna go
what's
for
the big three?
Delta, American, United.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about like Hawaiian Airlines?
Hawaiian Airlines, you're still
like
making six figures. Yeah.
Well, you said by the end of the career you're making $250K?
No, that's like middle of career.
Mid-career, so by the
yeah.
time you're 45, 40, you're going to be
I'd
making.
say like 35.
35 pilots are making $250K?
I mean, if you get into
sure?
it young, I'm going to be in the airline, and I'm going to be flying airline in like 2 years.
Have you are flying planes now?
I do fly planes now as a student.
Like charter planes sort of thing?
You're 24, correct?
I'm 24, yeah.
Okay. So, okay. Is that true? Chat, is that true that pilots make, by 35, they make $250K?
But look at how much debt then is there and time spent for schooling.
That's true.
Is that true, chat?
Yeah,
So
What's
you
the
can also make
average,
money.
average commercial pilot's income?
So while people are getting their flight miles for especially their commercial pilot's license, you're actually teaching a lot as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes it pays for itself.
Yeah, the smallest, dinkiest starter airlines are hiring brand new, fresh out of school, $90,000
For pilots.
to be a pilot. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's assume it's true, right? So you want to be a pilot. Okay, there's a lot there. So, but you said you are willing to date a guy who makes less than you, and you think, frankly, it's going to be difficult for you to find a guy who's going to make as much as you will make. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think I think you become a slave to money once you start making too much, and so I think it's hard to find a wealthy person who has strong morals and values. I'd be willing to take the pay cut for someone who shares my morals and values.
You think wealthy people have less morals and values?
I've seen it firsthand.
Comparatively to people who aren't wealthy?
I've seen their values be put in the wrong places, and like I said, I think you become a slave to money.
As a general rule, though, you think that people who have resources have less morals?
Generally.
Sounds like the lib hasn't quite died in you.
I've been around that community. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
It's not a blanket statement. It's just very
You
common.
see, I find that in order to get to the top, there's a misconception that you have to stand on people's heads, and that does happen, obviously. But in order to get to the top, you also have to provide value, and you have to solve problems, and you have to hire people, and you have to know how to manage relationships, and you have to know how to bring value in many different ways.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think stepping on people to get to the top is the bad thing. That's just the industry. But I see people care more about cars, purses, materialistic things, and they're so focused on these materialistic things and not focused on their families, spending time with their families. Like, they take so much time to work that they neglect their wives, they neglect their children, and
I
that's
see what
what I'm
you're saying.
afraid
So
of.
you think people who are more wealthy and have more resources tend to have less time, so less time for their families.
Yeah, because once you start making a ton of money, you just can't stop. You always want more.
Like
So-
the
Yeah, but
priorities.
also people who are struggling for money are working a lot of jobs, and usually both of the people in the household, and the time is very slim with the family, and that's what they have to do. I don't know that it's necessarily matters how much money you make. The other thing is just because someone can't afford nice things doesn't mean that they aren't constantly focused on it, and it doesn't mean that they
Don't
if
have
they are
value.
given the money, that their mindset is like that as well. So I
Oh,
think
yeah.
money can inflate that and show that, but I think it would be unfair to say that people who are well off or have money have poor values or especially morals.
Well, in any case,
But-
disregarding whether people who are wealthy or not wealthy, not making a conversation about assessing their moral character. So you want to be a pilot, and you anticipate you will end up making more than your partner.
Yeah, I hope not, but that
You
might
hope
be
not,
a
but
reality.
it may very well be the case.
Yeah.
My bigger question with you being a pilot is, I mean, I know you talked about most of the people that you've dated, you fly to them. Do you think it makes for a stable relationship to be constantly gone from your significant other? Because as a pilot, I assume you would be in a different city, what, 2/3 of the year?
Oh, you can very easily manage it. I actually dated a pilot, and he could do one international trip a week. And so he was just gone for 2 days out of the week and home 5 days out of the week.
Red flag. I think, well, okay, so for example, I've said this before. I think, for example, a flight attendant is a red flag in terms of like a career that a potential partner, I feel like I've pretty much reduced my options down to like 2% of women with all the red flags I'm aware of. But as a flight attendant or as a pilot, you're constantly, and I know you said perhaps not in your case, but you're always in a new city. So like for me, if I was to date a flight attendant, well, I just wouldn't want to, because I just feel like there's such an opportunity for infidelity under those circumstances. Maybe that's me being like insecure or whatever, but it's like, bro, even if we're in a committed relationship and there's not an opportunity for infidelity, my understanding is that you're in a new city every week, only there for a couple days. Because, for example, I'll match with girls who are flight attendants on dating apps. At least, well, I'm not on any dating apps right now, but when I used to be, I'd match with a girl who's on a dating app, and she's a flight attendant. You're in town for a day, and you're on a dating app. Okay, what are you looking for then? You must be looking for casual sex, because you're in town for 2 days. Why are you on a dating app? What is the only option available to you? Casual sex. So my assumption is people who are like flight attendants and pilots probably a lot. That's my impression.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a
fuck
very
around.
sexually rampant culture within the airline industry. I advise people not to date pilots or flight attendants unless you meet them
Except
and
you.
you're no. Unless there's always going to be exception, right? If you look at them and you're like, this is some of the most outstanding moral values, like truly the best you've ever seen, I'd say don't go for it, because it's insane the things
Okay,
that happen.
Fair enough. Well, I had another thing here. Just really to touch on this very quickly. Actually, I'll come back to it, but we'll continue going around. Would you date a guy who makes less than you?
I would not date a man who makes less than me. It's not that simple with me. I also want him to have a pretty solid net worth and a high credit score and no irresponsible debt, and to make a certain amount of money.
That's
reasonable,
That's base though. It's
kind of.
because like no offense or anything, but as you get a little bit older, you start to be able to like define what you want a lot more, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go out on a lot of dates with men, and I will end things over various financial factors that to me are red flags.
Such as?
One person that I dated recently was 51, because I'm 39, so I'll date I don't know if I would date younger, maybe if he was like a super solid 35-year-old, so I'll say like 35 to 55 I probably date. And by the time you are in your 50s, to me, you need to have established net worth. You should have investments in the stock market and or real estate. Crypto doesn't count because it's too volatile.
This is good.
And you should know how to manage your money, and that's why I feel like the credit score is important, because people can make a lot of money and waste a lot of money, and to me that's also not attractive. So like he needs to have financial literacy and be successful and hold it all together and make more than me.
See, I respect that a lot. I think a lot of people would look at that and be like, oh, you're so demanding or whatever.
Well, that's fine.
But I think
They
that
can
if
think
girls,
that.
if women were to lay out those sorts of things, it would encourage men to be better in that regard with financial literacy, especially in this country. Like, financial literacy is really not a thing. Like, when I was looking at around LA, I was thinking, if you guys did two things, if you replaced all of like the weird sexual stuff that's being taught to kids in school and all the racism that's being taught to kids in school, and you replace that with macronutrients and financial literacy, it would solve a lot of problems in your country. Teach them from a young age.
I also
Word.
think
agree.
a lot of relationship problems are because of finance, like, and
Financial,
especially
yeah.
in marriage, that's why a lot of
There
people get
is.
divorced. So being able to talk about that in the first like few dates is really important.